Good evening. I'm Abby Phillip in New York. Let's get right to what America is talking about. Elon Musk and his appetite for destruction. Tonight, a question for the new president of the United States. Is the tech billionaire really running your government?
He's got access only to letting people go that he thinks are no good if we agree with him, and it's only if we agree with him. He's a very talented guy from the standpoint of management and costs. Elon can't do and won't do anything without our approval, and we'll give him the approval where appropriate. Where not appropriate, we won't.
Trump says that he's keeping tabs on Musk as he works feverishly to kill off entire agencies, including the world's largest foreign aid agency, to outright ignore Congress and to run roughshod over the law, to deny Lutheran organizations any government money that gets used in places like Central Ohio to fund domestic violence shelters. He's taking the techie credo of move fast and break things quite seriously and literally, locking out employees from their jobs, having his engineers break into government databases, and trying to preserve a cloak of anonymity for the teenagers and 20-somethings tasked with picking apart the federal government for parts. Joining us in our fifth seat at the table is Mimi Rocha. She was the district attorney for Westchester County in New York and was an assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York as well. Let's start with the legalities of it. Why don't we, Mimi? Because I think one of the big questions people have is, what exactly is Elon Musk's job? And does he have the requisite requirements to do all the things that he's doing? So the White House said today that he's a special government employee, meaning that he's in a temporary role. He's not taking a salary. But there are a lot of questions about why does he then, with that role, get access to all the personal data of maybe the entire country, taxpayers, and all federal employees? What questions do you have about all this?
I have so many questions, Abby. And the first question I would say is exactly what is his role? I mean, this has never been defined other than calling him the head of this made-up entity. It's not even an agency. And that is, you know, people can be advisors to a president. Trump could pick really anyone he wants to be a presidential advisor. But Elon Musk is essentially, as far as I can tell, and we don't really know everything he's doing, he seems to be running the government. I mean, even in that answer that President Trump gave, that Elon Musk fires people that he doesn't think are doing a good job. Well, what are his standards for doing that? Has he ever said what they are? And it doesn't seem that there's actually any standards. In fact, the standard seems to be if you worked on or touched any kind of case at the Department of Justice or FBI that President Trump didn't like or doesn't approve of, then you get fired.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like in some of these cases, they just did Control F for certain buzzwords, and then they were like, okay, it's gone. That's no way to, even if you're looking for waste, fraud, and abuse, that's no way to do that.
But I mean, I think we're beyond waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think that most Americans, regardless of who you are, Democrat, Republican, I'm from South Carolina, whether or not you're from New York, black, white, or otherwise, have a problem with someone who's unelected, an oligarch, who has access to your personal information. There is not one Republican who can sit around this table or anywhere else and tell me that Elon Musk has any right whatsoever to my date of birth, social security number, address, any personal filings, etc. And so if we want to have a conversation about waste, fraud, and abuse, that actually is a conversation that's good for the American public to have. Let's have that with the members of the United States Congress. Let's have that through hearings in public. But Elon Musk going in to the Department of Treasury and overruling governmental bureaucrats who've been there for a very long period of time, those civil service workers who've been there for a long period of time, so he can have access to your private data. Now, that should be a red flag for every red-blooded American.
The good news for you is that we have a couple of Republicans at the table. Congresswoman, well, I mean, what about that? I mean, and by the way, you in Congress authorized a lot of this spending, and he is not Senate confirmed. He's not been to the Congress, as far as I know, in any sort of capacity where there would be oversight over him. So why does he get access to this information?
Well, first of all, I don't think Elon Musk has any more access to this information than some of those federal bureaucrats that you talk about that are working in those agencies. They also deal with this personal information, but it's not protected information by federal law, right? There's protected information, your social security number, they're protected under IRS law. So that's number one. Number two, I am a member of Congress. We do earmark funds for these agencies. And we don't like the way that these federal bureaucrats, quite frankly, are making these decisions. And so I think it is appropriate for the executive branch.
Why don't you just legislate?
Well,
I mean, I think that's the question.
because that's not the way
has
the budget.
But Congress, no, a Congresswoman, you have the power. You have the power.
We budget
to
for agencies.
Budget.
Yes.
You have the power to spend, to take away money. You have the power to structure agencies. You have the power to create, destroy agencies. You can actually do all of those things from Congress.
Yes, and if I could answer that question, what I would say is we do the budget. We allocate funding for specific agencies, for specific purposes. It is when we see these federal bureaucrats spending this money and making decisions on grants and loans and making decisions that are not within what we anticipate or was intended for. And that is why I thought it was appropriate for President Trump to pause some of these grants that were going out, because they were going out for some ridiculous things. And Congress, by the way, Elon Musk's role is an advisory role.
Correct.
Let's be clear about that. He is not going to be slashing. We're going to be making that final determination as members of Congress.
I should also just say Elon doesn't think that that's the case, because he's been saying pretty point blank, this is going away. We've gotten rid of this. We've gotten rid of that. And the money has stopped flowing.
Respectfully, Congresswoman, it was his aides who sent notices today to USAID saying, don't come to work. And I hear your point about cutting spending and everything. And look, I'm not going to die on a hill that says that these agencies don't have some frivolous spending that we need to rein in. But the fact is, do you know, sitting here today, that Elon Musk and his aides do not have access to my Social Security number? You don't know that. And that is troublesome, because as a member of Congress, you should know that. But what we do know is he went in the Treasury. He locked people out. He fired individuals. And now Elon Musk and his aides, and this is not a partisan attack by any stretch. This is, look, I deserve to know where my information is and why someone who is unelected, we don't even know what his job title is.
So why is it, that's an important question. Why is it, Scott, that Elon Musk claims that it is a crime to tweet out the names of the 6 individuals who I have to assume are government employees, maybe they're not, who are going around and carrying out his orders and telling people, for example, to not come into work at an entire federal agency, who are going into the Treasury asking for access to a sensitive payment system? How is it a crime to know who those people are?
I don't know if it's a crime or not. I think it's certainly untoward to try to because you're trying to sick an angry mob on people who are showing up to try to
first of all,
act on behalf of the President of the United States.
First of all, this is his platform, okay? If his own platform is an angry mob, that's one thing. But he also does this all the time. And these are people who are doing things that affect Americans. They're working in the government.
Well,
I don't see why it needs to be a secret.
They're doing things that affect the bureaucracy, which is why you see all the rage today.
You don't think that this stuff affects Americans, Scott?
I mean, yeah, probably in a positive way. And I'm glad to see Democrats are coming around to the idea that the unelected people who might be involved in the running of our country are important, because you seem to have no interest in that for the last 4 years under the last administration. Here's the bottom line. You know what that means is that you had a president who was not functional, and you know it.
We're talking about Biden. Okay.
Actually, by that same token, I mean, if you're concerned about the people around Joe Biden running the government, why aren't you concerned about?
Because I don't have any concern that this president is functional. He's a functional president, and Musk is an agent of the president.
Why are you not concerned that Elon Musk is, according to a lot of reports, someone that no one around the president wants to even cross, because he's so powerful, and he has leverage over this president because he spent $250 million to get him elected?
Look, the president was elected. He runs the government. Elon Musk is an agent of the executive branch at the direction of the president. And as the president said today, he's not doing anything that he doesn't have permission to do. And I will just remind you all, one of the things he was elected to do is to shake up Washington, stop doing business as usual, and rein in an out-of-control bureaucracy that, as the Congresswoman correctly pointed out, is spending money in ways that was never intended.
As Bakari said, I don't think anybody here is having an argument about it. We'd all love to see our taxpayer dollars spent in a wiser way, whether Joe Biden...
Welcome to the Republican Party, because that's what we're doing.
What we're saying is you would think that if you was... You're not going to get me with the hat joke. You almost pulled me in. Look, we all sit around here like Donald Trump got 90% of the election. Like he won by 90%. At the last time I checked, Donald Trump got less than half of all the votes cast. That don't mean he didn't win. Try that out, Republicans. He's our elected leader, and he won all the battleground states and all the above. But we got to do this in a better way if we're going to move forward. And what we're seeing, Democrats, and Scott made fun of me the whole time, and I wasn't one of them, saying democracy's on the line. Well, today, as I get here, it seems like democracy's on the line from everything I'm seeing at the Treasury Department, especially if he's got my Social Security number. He don't know what he's going to do.
Do you two believe that he is specifically looking? I mean, that is a level of self-aggrandizement that I don't understand.
No. But Scott, honestly,
Wait, do you believe that? Do they believe what, Scott?
They both seem to believe that he is specifically looking. These two guys think that he's looking.
I don't think Elon Musk knows me. I mean,
that-
Elon Musk probably confuses me with Michael B. Jordan, like most people on the street. But that's neither here nor there. What I am saying, though, is that respectfully, respectfully, we are sitting here as educated people, and the problem is we don't know what Elon Musk has and what Elon Musk does not have.
That's true of the whole government. They have all your information already.
But there was a process for that. There was oversight for that. And the fact is, these bureaucrats who you all are lambasting up here that he ran out, at least had a direct report, somebody who could rein them in. They could come in front of Congress.
They have ethics rules. They have all
kinds
kinds
of
ethics
rules. Government rules that they have to
And
abide
there is
by, and regulations, and transparency. Names of federal employees are actually supposed to be public.
And there's a statute that prevents them from accessing
and they have
classified
ethical.
information.
I know this sounds quaint, but they actually most government civil service employees, which is who we're actually talking about in comparison to Elon Musk, do follow the rules and regulations that Congress has set out for them, and disclosures. Is Elon Musk going to make a financial disclosure? Are we going to know his conflicts of interest?
3 of your colleagues in the Senate, Senator Bill Cassidy, Jerry Moran, and Tom Tillis, they've raised some red flags over what's happening at USAID. Cassidy wants to know why clinics in Africa are not getting the drugs that USAID provides. Jerry Moran is wondering why there's American food rotting in ports of entry. And Tom Tillis says if you just shut down every program in there, I think it's a mistake and it will have policy and political consequences. But that's exactly what Elon Musk did. He shut USAID down.
Well, first of all, going back to the transparency, you have not had a more transparent president than President Donald Trump. Every executive order, every conversation he has with a world leader, there is a printout, it is on social media, and we are learning what's going on in real time.
When did he say that he's shutting down USAID, and tell us why he's doing it?
Well, first of all, USAID, and I sat on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and I've tried to expose this as a member on those committee hearings. I mean, we cannot get any accountability from this agency. We can't get any metrics from this agency. This is a real bureaucratic mess, the USAID. The money's being spent and shoveled to countries all over the world, countries that hate us, for programs that, I mean, you have countries where people are starving, and they're focusing on, DEI and transgender programming. It's ridiculous. I mean, eventually it becomes. But this is the facts. These are.
This
is actually where money is going to.
What I'm saying, first of all,
but
I'm not denying. Listen, I don't know what specifically you're talking about, but I do know that there's a lot of money that does not go to any of those things. One of the programs Cassidy's talking about is PEPFAR. That is a Republican program.
Yeah,
that is a
great.
Republican
You
program.
found one good program.
Famine-stricken Sudan.
Here's the real point here. Congresswoman, you are elected to legislate.
Yes.
If you want to change where the money goes at PEPFAR, you have the power to do that. Why not do that in a transparent way so that the American people can see?
And that is what we are doing right now. That is exactly what we're doing. We're trying to put a pause on this funding going out the door so we can see exactly what it's being used for, because our intention when we appropriated this money is not being spent that way. And what I will say is you have these bureaucrats sitting at these agencies. They come before Congress. We have hearings. We try to get to the bottom of where this money is going. $50 million for condoms in Gaza, for example.
Congresswoman.
No, but these are real things.
No.
You guys are rolling your eyes like as if these are not actual line items. These are actual line items.
We know that there was not $50 million spent for condoms in Gaza.
Okay.
There was $0 spent on condoms in the Middle East. That is a complete falsehood and a lie.
So the White House put that out there as a
I'm not going to blame you for it. I'm going to blame. I'm going to blame the White House.
So
I'm going to blame the president.
Where did it go?
Congresswoman, I'm going to blame the president who upped the dollar amount to $100 million. It is false.
It was $50 million as far as I know.
It is false. There is zero. The answer is zero. There's none. So you cannot use that as an example.
As a Republican who worked in the White House for President Bush when PEPFAR was passed, I think it's one of the most successful things for American soft power we've ever done. I think George W. Bush may have saved more human lives than any other president. This is an example of a positive use of American soft power. But there is a difference between soft power and stupid spending. And there is a long list of things today, as the Congresswoman pointed out, that all Americans would regard as stupid and not in line with any U.S. interest. And let me say one more thing.
I'm not denying
the
that.
USAID
The question is
bureaucracy.
how you do it, Scott.
Yes, let me
Are you
finish.
going to just shut down a whole agency,
Yes,
or are you going to
here's
find
why.
the waste and stop it?
The USAID bureaucracy is not American soft power. It's the money and the strategic direction. Today, he put Marco Rubio, our Secretary of State, our Chief Foreign Policy Officer, in charge of USAID. Soft power will not stop. But out-of-control bureaucracy will stop, and that will help us.
Bill
that will help
Cassidy
us.
says that it's stopped, and he wants to know why. And it will be interesting to see if Congress is actually going to do something about it. Mimi, thank you very much for joining us. Everyone.